And there's another stat for you, Donnie. Black men make up 6.5% of the U.S. population. What is the percentage of the population of black men in prisons here in the United States? 40%. Wow. That is a stark ratio when it comes to the criminalization of black men and basically putting them back into slavery in a sense, right, Connie?
Yes, exactly. For slave wages, Gwen, what's the average pay per hour in prison?
Well, in Oklahoma, it's like between 8 and 12 hours, okay? But one thing that I do not want you guys to overlook is that there are companies from Microsoft to other corporations that use prison labor, from California, wherever. Oklahoma, I believe, and I could be wrong about this, we have a call center where the calls are coming in and inmates are actually doing customer service.
Yes.
And the company probably maybe paying them, and don't quote me because I could be wrong, but maybe $100 a month.
I mean, they got companies like ALEC. I mean, which is basically ALEC has all these different corporations that work inside DC. We talked about this last week with Shaka and Youssef, and talking about the corporations that get this prison labor. I'm pretty sure there's somebody that you're doing business with right now, Walmart, Verizon, places like that, that somehow, some way, they employ prisoners to do the work for them and pay them a minimum amount of money. That's why the prison system is so huge, and that's why recidivism, they don't encourage rehabilitation. They encourage you to go back out into the world, and they want you to come back to prison, Donnie.
Yes, that's right. That's crazy. That should be against the law for these big corporations to be using prison inmates to make them money. That's crazy. That's against the law. You know what I mean?
Mind you, they are paying more, but the inmate is not getting what they're paying.
Oh, absolutely not. And if they get $3 a day, that's a lot. Once again, Bob says, I will say this: if you have money, you can buy justice in America, which actually brings me to my next point. What is the biggest issue when it comes to the criminal justice system? Is it race or is it economics? Because remember, OJ was black and he was accused of killing a white woman and a white man, but he had money, he had powerful lawyers, and he got off. So is it race or is it economics? Gwen, start with you.
It's all about the money. I think, back in the day, in the 80s, 90s, and so on, it was still about the money. It just morphed into something different because prisons always have contracting that is authorized by the state. They contract for the food that's delivered to them. They contract for the, all of the things that feed into and make the prison run. So I think from like the late 80s, it was probably a mixture of both, but by 2000, it was about the money straight up.
Well, I kind of disagree with that because I feel like Tory had the money to get out and fight the prison system. But in some states, they don't care about you have money. Like you in
Tory's in a private prison though.
Exactly. So they don't care if you have the money. You know what I'm saying? Because if you have the money, they're like, oh, here comes this black NIGGA, you know what I mean, with this money, and we gonna hang him anyway. You know what I mean? Because he came to our town and did something that we don't like. That's what I feel.
Right.
So what he's saying, like, regardless of the type of lawyers, high-powered lawyers you have, if you have corrupt district attorneys that have an agenda, if you have corrupt judges that have an agenda, especially when it comes to the political season, and they need a conviction because somebody white was, had a crime committed against them, they have to put on a show, so to speak, right, Connie?
Exactly. And Bob Macy would regularly promise that whoever did it was going to get the death penalty in Oklahoma.
Wow.
But we can't play past what the Clintons did, or not the Clintons, but what Bill Clinton did in '95, which he signed 2 pieces of legislation. And I think Yale Law Review wrote that after that legislation passed, federal relief for state prisoners whose rights were violated, release was reduced by like 70%. There are 2 bills. One's the Prison Litigation Reform Act, which quells prisoners' rights to be able to fight their conditions. And one is the AEDPA, Anti-Terrorism Effective Death Penalty Act, but it has to do with creating a time limit that stops state prisoners from being able to file. So all of these, again, work together to maintain the status quo, to stop, looking at merits issues. So right now, Donnie, it doesn't have anything to do with, they know there's no evidence against Tory, but nobody's going to listen to that.
Okay, so what I want to know, I want to get back on Tory. How do we make progress to get him out? Because you just said a few minutes ago when he goes to his parole hearing, you said what's going to happen? You just said what?
Well, what they will do is parole him to the next sentence, the next consecutive term. I want to go to the federal court and ask them in the 10th Circuit to reopen the case. The Supreme Court decided in 2013 that they could not continue to bar people with substantive claims of innocence, right? They couldn't just bar them out by time. But Tory had filed before that. We need to go back in that direction. But largely, I think that the Department of Justice and other, and not under this administration, of course, but there needs to be either initiative through Congress or something done in the southern states by the Department of Justice to analyze this racial inequity and fix it. No, nobody should ever be sentenced to 500 years for a non-death case or otherwise. You might have killed. That's death by incarceration.
So I want to ask Ms. Connie something. So you're telling me he's going to a parole hearing just for show? You know what I mean? So is nothing going to happen when he goes to his parole hearing?
Well, that's the stage. I mean, there's steps in the process. So the first step is the jacket review, and the person doesn't have to be present. Gwen will be his advocate in the room, and then they will make a decision as to whether Gwen, the next step is to actually hear the
hearing that he was speaking of, and that's like 3 months later. And then after that, the governor still has to agree. So there's 3 stages he has to go through. That's too much time. I mean, obviously, you're not going to turn any type of avenue down, but yeah.
So you got to go through all these steps just to get a new trial, pretty much.
No, that's just to get parole. That's just to get an act of grace.
To get parole, okay.
It is completely arbitrary. So they don't have to even tell you. They say no, they just say, like, you know how your parents used to tell you no because I said so?
Right.
They give you a no.
Okay, wow.